Good Erev Shabbat, everyone. Once again, forced inside by the rain. It's been a nice rainy season in Israel, thank God. I want to again thank our sponsors for this week, Dvorah and Roy Spiewak, celebrating the forthcoming wedding on Sunday of their son Eitan to Ellie Loberfeld of Florida. They should be Zocha to build a Beit Nem Yisrael. Miles up to them, the entire family. Thank also our weekly sponsors, Gila and Yet Stern, as his chutfe Erefu Shlema for Nisan Halevi Ben Tova. Hashem Yishmereh v'Chazkeyu, and thank our monthly sponsors, Chaya and Yoel Fuld, L'Yishmat, their beloved son, Hillel, Olav Ashal Ben Yoel Yaakov Sheyichya. Today's also the yahrzeit of the Rambam, by the way. Chaf Tevet, Rambam died late in 1204, so it's the 821st yahrzeit of the Rambam. Mimoshe ad Moshe lokom kimoshe. And at the beginning of Parshat Shemot, we see something unique about the Jewish people that is recognized by none other than Pharaoh. Vayomer el amo. Pharaoh says to his nation, Hine am b'nei Yisrael rav ve'atzum mimenu. Behold, the nation of the children of Israel is greater and mightier than we are. And it's a very interesting phrase, a number of interesting things. First, the Kli Yakar points out that Vayomer el Amo, Pharaoh said to his nation, what? He made a televised address? How did he speak to his nation? Really what it means, he spoke to his advisors. But you find other times it says he spoke to Chachamav, the Chartumim, Sarav, Avadav, but here he spoke to his entire nation. How did he speak to his entire nation? And why use two appellations for the Jewish people? He could have said Hinei B'nai Yisrael. He could have said Am Yisrael. But he said no, Am B'nai Yisrael. And many Mefarshim note this is the very first time in our history that the Jewish people are referred to as a nation. And the Rambam says in the Moreh, in fact, that one of the purposes of Yetziat Mitzrayim, of the Galut, of the exile in Mitzrayim, and the subsequent Exodus, as well as our sojourn in the wilderness, was to make a nation out of us. In fact, make a nation that's courageous, that could sustain itself as a nation, and that national personality had to be forged in the iron furnace of Mitzrayim. And the Rambam writes in part 3, chapter 32, that's why Hashem didn't take us through the Plishtim. Rambam says it would be just as if a person trained to work as a slave with mortar and bricks should interrupt his work, clean his hands, and at once fight with real giants. We're incapable, when we left Egypt, of fighting. We had to be trained and hardened by the experience in the wilderness. But so too, we had to be trained and hardened by the experience in Mitzrayim as well. Otherwise, we could not have been a nation, or we would have been a nation like all other nations. So Bnei Yisrael, he saw us as a clan, but now Pharaoh saw us as an Am. And he said it to his nation, he sent word out to the nation that, as the Kli Yakar writes, amazingly, in our modern context, Shelo yitochen sheyu shnei amim mitnagdim darim b'mdina achad. It's not possible for two nations in conflict to live in the same land. Yes, tell it to our neighbors today. People who claim a national identity, well, two nations that are claiming two different national identities cannot share the same parcel of land. So, granted, the Palestinian identity is a fabricated one in any event, but of course it can't happen. And that's what Pharaoh said to his nation. They came outsiders, they weren't part of us, and now we see how they're growing more powerful than we are. Because how could that be? However numerous we became, we're certainly not more numerous or more powerful than the host nation. In fact, Pharaoh then says we have to deal cleverly with them, pen your bed, lest they multiply. But he's already saying that they did multiply. Rava atzumi menu. And here we have a primer on Jew hatred. First of all, it seemed to Pharaoh like we Rava atzum mimenu. That's the first thing. It seemed. It wasn't really true, and certainly we posed no threat of destabilization to his monarchy, but it seemed to him like we did. Secondly, the Yalkut says something interesting. Mimenu, then us. What's Mimenu from? Mimenu from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Mikor Yisrael. That Paro already saw that we are unassimilable. We will never be Egyptians because we are bound to a different God, unrelated to Egypt. And that's Vayakam Melech Hadash Asher Lo Yadad Yosef. He didn't know Yosef, meaning Yosef is gone. And now Yosef, whatever good he did for us, these people that he left behind are a fifth column, which then leads us to a third interpretation of Mimenu that you find in other contexts as well. Ravotzu Mimenu, then us. It could also mean Ravatzu Mimenu, they became more and mightier from us. Meaning, Paro tells his people, look how successful they are. Whatever they have, it's because they've exploited us. They've robbed us. They've plundered us. They're fifth column. They've taken everything that belongs to us and made it theirs. Meaning, look at this nation. They think they're entitled, but what they really are parasites. Every success they have is because they've taken it from us, depleted our resources, and impoverished us. That's why we have to deal with them. That's why we don't want them. Well, Paro did what Paro did, but as a result of being Mitzrayim, we became a nation powerful, eternal, and always at the center of history down to today. Shabbat Shalom to all.